Automated Database Object Model, or ADOM, IDFactory, and SQL Server. The ADOM Framework automates most of the development effort required to manage a SQL relational database. All the DBA has to do is create the initial tables and their foreign key relationships, and ADOM does the rest for you. Here we're starting out with a simple test database. Here are the tables. It's person object, email, phone, address. You'll see there are no store procedures at this point and no functions. I have a simple database diagram to show you the structure. You'll see person is in the center, address and address type, phone, phone type, and email. Simple enough. Now we are going over to the IDFactory tool, and we are going to start the process to atomize this database. It's not been atomized at this point, so we're going to do the first step here. And what this is going to do is create some base tables required for the ADOM process to run. You'll see now it's showing up as true under is ADOM controlled. And if I refresh my table list, you will see that we have several tables which start with the word ADOM underscore. Those are all tables required for the atomization process. No store procedures yet, but we have got a couple of new functions that were also created and inserted by ADOM. So now we're going to switch back over to the IDFactory and go into the table settings mode. You have an option here of using a wizard. This wizard is, basically steps through one table at a time for simplicity's sake, so that you're not looking at more than one object at a time. So here's one of our primary tables, person. I'm going to set this to primary object as true. Set some concurrency form control handling, which we'll talk about in a later video. We're going to enable logging, check attributes, select, create a generic search, and save the changes and proceed to the next object. Email, we can do the same thing. Set that as a primary object. Set it to use concurrency form, so it's going to do concurrency checking. Generate attribute, select, generate generic search. Save and go to grid. So this is the way I usually like to work with the product, is in grid format. You can see all the tables at once. So I'm simply going to add the other two primary tables here, and we're going to add concurrency checking for those tables, as well as attribute select and generic search for both of these tables. The only other two tables are lookup lists, so we're going to do a generic select all for those two and process our table setting changes. Now we'll go back and re-atomize, and this time you will see some magic occur in the store procedure arena. So it tells me my atomization is done. Switch back over to SQL and refresh the entire database. Now in the tables, first thing you'll notice is there's some log tables now. I'll talk to that in a minute. But now we have a ton of ADOM generated stored procedures as well. This is another setting, foreign keys. You can actually manage what foreign keys you want to ignore. This is also a section where you could set foreign keys for relationships to data that are outside of the scope of the catalog that you're working in now. We'll speak to that in a later video as well. But here I'm going to do an attribute select for the person object, which is the primary object in my database. And you'll see this gives you the XML structure, everything that's included in the structure, as well as a good amount of attribute and other metadata about that structure. We'll use that again in the next video where we talk about the replicator tool in the middle tier. But now what I want to do is, this is a select statement for this object structure, so you can see there's no data in the database at this point. We're going to open up a store procedure execution call I've got here with some data in an XML object that we're going to insert. John Doe is the person's name, so I'm going to run this sub-second to insert all this data, and here's the resulting object as returned by the select statement. So this is the automatically returns the generic search at the end of this rock. So here, just showing you that in our standard SQL select, we've also got that same data showing up. So nothing up my sleeve. Now we're going to switch over, and I'm going to show you a partial save. So if you don't want to save the entire object, if it's fairly large, you just wrap it in a simple root object node and then pass in only what you want to update, insert, or delete. Here we're going to insert a new phone number. You see that happened instantly. And the entire object is returned to us again. And if I scroll down to the bottom and look in the phone collections, I not only see the first phone number that was on the original insert, but now I see the new number that I just did on the partial save. Okay. Okay, now we're going to talk about something that we call special selects here. This is if you want to create a select statement for your XML object, but you don't want to include the entire scope of the object's data elements. You want to return just some specific data elements. In the store procedure, we're just going to return the person's name and a phone number. So I'm going to name it person just phone number, and it's prefixed automatically by the same prefix that your ADOM objects are named already. Give you a little separation, and we're going to say special select with only returns the person's name and phone number. Okay, I'm going to save this. It's going to actually behind the scenes create this new store procedure. So now we'll run back over to SQL, refresh our store procedure list, and lo and behold, there's our new store procedure, ADOM underscore person just phone number. Okay, so I'm going to choose person number 1 that we inserted just a minute ago. And here is my object, and you see the only data that were actually returned is the person name and the 2 phone numbers that we've created so far for this individual. So I'm going to switch back over to my standard select, and you'll see now we've got 2 rows because I'm doing an outer join, and you'll see there are the 2 phone numbers. Nothing up my sleeve again. You see here the 3 log tables that were created. Those log tables simply record every action that's taken against the data in the table that you are logging. You show here the 2 different saves we had for phone number. And here is the trigger that's automatically generated by ADOM, which actually populates that log table with the audit data. So now we have showed you how ADOM can automate most of your database development. Hope you enjoyed this video, and please watch the other follow-up videos to see other aspects of the ADOM framework. Thank you.